Hold on. What if I told you there's one herb sitting in your kitchen right now that you keep buying every single week, spending roughly $200 a year on it, when you could grow an endless supply for less than $5? Yeah, I thought that'd get your attention. But here's the kicker, it's not the herb you think it is, and the one I'm thinking of. Most people kill it because they're doing one thing catastrophically wrong. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you're gonna feel like you've been lied to your whole life in the best way possible. Hey there, green thumbs and garden dreamers. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening, where we make growing your own food stupid simple and ridiculously cheap. If you're new here, you just stumbled into the coziest corner of YouTube where we turn brown thumbs green without emptying your wallet. Real quick before we start, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because the tips I'm dropping today are going to save you serious cash. Plus, I've got a garden secret at the end that I've never shared before, and you won't want to miss it. Now let's jump in. So here's the deal. Growing herbs at home isn't just about saving money, though you're absolutely going to do that. It's about having fresh flavor whenever you need it, knowing exactly what went into growing your food, and honestly, there's something incredibly satisfying about snipping fresh herbs you grew yourself right into your dinner. Now, I've been gardening for years, and I've killed more plants than I'd like to admit. But these 5 herbs, they've stuck with me through thick and thin, and they're about to become your new best friends. We're talking low maintenance, high reward, and perfect for beginners or anyone who's tried gardening before and given up. Let's get started. Herb 1, mint. First up, we've got mint. And I know what you're thinking, mint is everywhere. That's so basic. But hear me out, because mint is actually the hustler of the herb world. And here's why nobody tells you this. Mint is legitimately impossible to kill. Like, I'm not exaggerating. You could forget about it for 3 weeks and it'll still be thriving. In fact, the biggest problem with mint isn't keeping it alive, it's keeping it contained, because this plant will take over your entire garden if you let it. Here's what makes mint incredible. You plant it once, and you've got mint for life. Not just for the season, for life. It spreads through underground runners, comes back every single year, and gets bigger and more abundant each time. You know those fancy mojitos and fresh mint teas you pay extra for at cafes? Yeah, you can make those at home whenever you want. Now here's the insider trick nobody shares. Don't plant mint directly in your garden bed. Grab a cheap plastic pot from the dollar store, plant your mint in there, then bury the entire pot in your garden. This contains the roots so mint doesn't become a garden bully, but it still looks natural and grows beautifully. You can also just keep it in a container on your windowsill or balcony. Mint absolutely thrives in pots. Watering, just keep the soil moist. Sunlight, it actually prefers partial shade, which makes it perfect for those tricky spots in your yard where nothing else grows. And get this, you can start mint from cuttings you literally buy at the grocery store. Stick those stems in water, wait for roots to appear in about a week, then plant them. Boom! Free mint forever. The varieties are endless too. Peppermint, spearmint, chocolate mint, pineapple mint, each one brings something different to your kitchen. My personal favorite? Chocolate mint. It sounds gimmicky, but it genuinely has this subtle chocolate aroma that makes desserts and hot chocolate absolutely magical. Herb 2, rosemary. Alright, number 2 is rosemary, and this is where things get interesting because rosemary has a reputation for being difficult. People say it's finicky, that it dies randomly, that you need special conditions. That's all nonsense, and I'm going to tell you exactly why people struggle with it. Rosemary is a Mediterranean plant. It comes from hot, dry, rocky hillsides where it basically bakes in the sun all day with very little water. So what do most people do when they bring it home? They water it like a regular houseplant, keep the soil moist, and wonder why it dies. Here's the truth. Rosemary hates wet feet. Overwatering is the #1 killer, period. Plant rosemary in well-draining soil, mix in some sand or perlite if your soil is heavy. Water it deeply but infrequently, and let the soil dry out completely between waterings. Give it full sun at least 6 hours a day, and then just leave it alone. Seriously, neglect is your friend here. Once established, rosemary is a woody shrub that'll last for years. I'm talking 5, 10, even 15 years if you treat it right. It's basically a small tree at that point, and you'll have more rosemary than you know what to do with. roasted potatoes, grilled chicken, homemade bread, infused oils, and rosemary elevates everything. Here's a cool bonus. Rosemary is evergreen in most climates, meaning you've got fresh herbs even in winter when everything else is dormant. And if you live somewhere with harsh winters, just bring your rosemary pot indoors near a sunny window. It'll keep chugging along. The smell alone is worth growing it. Brush your hand against rosemary, and that aromatic, pine-like fragrance just hits different. It's grounding, calming, and honestly makes your whole garden smell incredible. Plus, bees absolutely love rosemary flowers, so you're helping pollinators while you're at it. Starting tip: buying a small plant from a nursery rather than starting from seed rosemary seeds is notoriously slow and unpredictable. A 4-inch starter plant costs maybe $3 and will save you months of frustration. Hey, quick pause. If you're enjoying this and learning something new, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps more people discover these tips. And drop a comment below telling me which herb you're most excited to grow. I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. Alright, back to the good stuff. Herb 3, oregano. Number 3 is oregano, and this is the herb I mentioned earlier that you can basically ignore and it'll still flourish. If you've ever felt like you're bad at gardening, oregano is here to prove you wrong. Oregano is a perennial, meaning it comes back year after year without you having to replant. It spreads naturally, fills in gaps, and requires almost zero maintenance. We're talking about planting it once, water it occasionally, and forget about it. That's the whole strategy. But here's what makes oregano a complete game changer. Fresh oregano tastes nothing like the dried stuff you buy in stores. I mean that in the best way possible. Fresh oregano is bright, aromatic, slightly peppery, and adds this depth to dishes that dried oregano just can't match. Once you cook with fresh oregano, you'll understand why Italian grandmas swear by it. Growing conditions: oregano loves full sun but tolerates partial shade. It prefers drier soil, so don't overwater it. In fact, oregano is drought-tolerant once established, which makes it perfect for forgetful gardeners or anyone in a hot climate. Plant it in well-draining soil and you're golden. Here's the fun part. Oregano spreads low and wide, making it an excellent ground cover. It suppresses weeds naturally, which means less work for you. And when it flowers, these delicate little purple blooms, pollinators go crazy for it. Your garden becomes this buzzing, thriving ecosystem. Harvesting is simple. Snip stems as needed, and the plant just keeps producing. The more you harvest, the bushier it gets. You can dry excess oregano by hanging bundles upside down in a cool, dark place, and boom, you've got homemade dried herbs that blow store-bought versions out of the water. Pizza, pasta sauce, Greek salad, marinades, roasted vegetables, oregano is the backbone of Mediterranean cooking, and now you'll have an endless supply. And because it's so low maintenance, you can plant it in containers, raised beds, or directly in the ground. It adapts to pretty much anything. Pro tip: there are different varieties like Greek oregano, Italian oregano, and even Cuban oregano. Greek oregano is the most potent and flavorful, so if you're only growing one type, go with that. Herb 4, thyme. Number 4 is thyme, and if you're looking for a herb that's both beautiful and functional, this is your answer. Thyme is one of those plants that people seriously underestimate until they grow it themselves. First off, thyme is tiny but mighty. It grows low to the ground, spreads slowly, and forms this gorgeous, aromatic mat of greenery. It's perfect for edges of garden beds, between stepping stones, or even as a lawn alternative in low-traffic areas. When you step on thyme, it releases this incredible fragrance. It's like walking through a gourmet kitchen. But let's talk about flavor. Thyme is earthy, slightly minty, with a subtle lemony note depending on the variety. It pairs beautifully with chicken, fish, soups, stews, and roasted vegetables. A little goes a long way, and because the leaves are small, you can toss whole sprigs into dishes and remove them later. Growing thyme is ridiculously easy. It loves full sun and well-draining soil, similar to rosemary and oregano. Water it sparingly. Thyme is another Mediterranean herb that prefers drier conditions. Overwatering leads to root rot, so when in doubt, water less. Thyme is also perennial, meaning it'll come back every year. In milder climates, it stays green year-round. In colder areas, it might die back in winter but bounces right back in spring. And here's a bonus. Thyme is incredibly pest-resistant. Bugs generally leave it alone, which means you're not dealing with infestations or needing treatments. Now, here's where thyme gets really interesting. There are dozens of varieties of lemon thyme, creeping thyme, caraway thyme, orange thyme, and each one brings a unique twist to your cooking. Lemon thyme is my personal favorite for fish and chicken dishes because it adds this bright, citrusy kick without needing actual lemons. Propagation is super simple too. Thyme naturally spreads by sending out runners, or you can take cuttings and root them in water just like mint. Within a few weeks, you've got new plants to expand your collection or share with friends. One thing people don't realize. Thyme flowers are edible and gorgeous. They attract bees and butterflies like crazy, and you can toss the tiny purple or pink blooms into salads or use them as garnish. Your garden becomes this vibrant, living ecosystem that's both productive and beautiful. Herb 5, parsley. And finally, number 5 is parsley. Now, I know some of you just rolled your eyes because parsley gets written off as that garnish nobody eats. But stay with me, because parsley is criminally underrated, and once you understand how to use it properly, it'll become a staple in your kitchen. First, let's clear something up. There are two main types of parsley: flat leaf, Italian, and curly. Flat leaf parsley has way more flavor and is what you want for cooking. Curly parsley looks pretty but tastes like grass in comparison. So when you're buying seeds or starter plants, go for flat leaf every single time. Parsley is a biennial, meaning it grows leaves the first year, flowers and sets seed the second year, then dies. But here's the trick. If you keep harvesting it regularly and prevent it from flowering, you can stretch that first year out significantly. And even when it does go to seed, you can let it self-sow and have baby parsley plants pop up naturally the following season. Growing parsley is straightforward. It prefers rich, moist soil and partial shade to full sun. Unlike the Mediterranean herbs we've talked about, parsley actually likes consistent moisture, so don't let it dry out completely. Mulch around the base to retain moisture and keep roots cool. Now, why grow parsley? Because fresh parsley is a flavor powerhouse that brightens literally everything. Tabbouleh, chimichurri, gremolata, and pesto parsley are the star ingredients. It's also packed with vitamins A, C, and K, plus iron and antioxidants. You're not just adding flavor, you're adding serious nutrition. Here's what blew my mind when I started using fresh parsley. It's not just a garnish. Chop up a huge handful and toss it into pasta, grain bowls, scrambled eggs, or soups right before serving. It adds this fresh, herbaceous quality that makes everything taste restaurant quality. Parsley also freezes beautifully. Chop it up, pack it into ice cube trays with a little olive oil or water, freeze, and you've got herb cubes ready to drop into any dish. This way, you're never wasting parsley, and you've got that fresh flavor available even in winter. One heads up. Parsley seeds are notoriously slow to germinate, sometimes taking 3 to 4 weeks. There's an old gardening saying, parsley goes to the devil and back 3 times before it sprouts. So be patient or just buy a starter plant to skip the waiting game. Harvesting tip. Always cut stems from the outside of the plant, leaving the center intact. This encourages new growth from the middle, and your parsley plant stays productive for months. Alright, before we wrap up, here are 3 rapid-fire tips that apply to all these herbs and will set you up for success. Tip 1. Start with good soil. You don't need fancy expensive stuff, but herbs perform best in well-draining soil with some organic matter mixed in. If you're planting in containers, use a quality potting mix that makes a massive difference. Tip 2. Most herbs prefer slightly dry conditions over being waterlogged. When in doubt, underwater rather than overwater. Stick your finger into the soil about an inch deep if it's dry water. If it's moist, wait. Tip 3. Harvest regularly. The more you trim your herbs, the bushier and more productive they become. Don't be shy about cutting them back. You're encouraging growth, not harming the plant. And there you have it, 5 herbs that'll save you money, elevate your cooking, and prove once and for all that you absolutely can grow your own food, even if you think you've got a brown thumb. Here's my challenge for you. Pick one herb from this list and start this week. Just one. Get it in the ground or in a pot, follow the simple tips I've shared, and watch what happens. I promise you're going to be hooked once you taste the difference fresh herbs make. Now, if you found this helpful, do me a solid and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We drop new budget-friendly gardening videos every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Also, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me which herb you're starting with, and share this video with anyone who's been thinking about starting a garden. Let's build a community of people who grow their own food without breaking the bank. I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and remember gardening doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. Happy planting!